there you are. Welcome back to the studio. I have to tell you, I am so happy to be back out here. It's been so long since I've been here. I've missed the old place, but it's been too cold and it's been too wet. And for one reason or another, I haven't made it out here, but I'm out here tonight and I want to paint with you a flamingo. I got a couple of reference photos here. You can find many of them online. Thankfully, once you see a picture of a flamingo, you've seen a picture of a flamingo. They're not too difficult to draw, but they are fun to paint. So come along with me, let's paint the flamingo. Okay, so here we go. Here's the flamingo I have decided to draw. It's just your regular old flamingo, a little pink, a little bit orange, standing there. I don't even have a background on it. We might put one on, we might not. We'll see how the time goes and how I feel. I'm using my Princeton Select brushes. I've got a couple of them here. This is a, what is this one? This is a 4, a 2, and a 0. And tonight I'm going to use my Prima Tropicals travel set of watercolors. I've got the colors out in front of me here so I know exactly what I'm using. I don't have a real reason for using these other than, I don't know, to me flamingos are always kind of been a tropical kind of a bird, and so I just wanted to kind of keep with the theme, but no other reason than that, really. All right, so I'm just going to jump in and get on it here. I'm going to pre-wet our flamingo here and just let the bird soak up a little bit of water, and I'm going to hope that when we start to paint this, that's going to help the paint flow just a little bit. And we're going to hope to get some nice color mixing in here. And I'm going to do the bottom first, and I'm going to come back and do the top, this wing section, in just a minute. But let's see how it goes. So I'm just going to mix up a little bit of paint. I think for the time being, you can see what I'm doing here. There we go. I'm just going to put a few different colors out here so I can see what they look like and how I want to mix them up. And I think I like this one and this orangey color. There we go. I think that makes a good flamingo color. I'm just going to start dabbing some of this color on. I'll zoom in a little bit for you. Now that you've seen the colors that I'm using and seen me mix them a little bit, I'm just dabbing some color on. And it's light and it's going to spread out. And we want that. And we're going to come back in and put more on here and more on here. So the fact that it's running a little bit is totally fine. It's running the way we want it to. All right, and when I go down this wing here, I'm just going to leave a little white spot, a little jagged edge on the top there. There we go. I want there to look like there's some feathers on top, so when we paint them later, we can see them coming down actually. Something like this. I'm going to mix a little bit more of this pink in here. I know flamingos aren't necessarily this color pink. It doesn't matter. To me, our flamingo is just going to be our flamingo. Whatever colors he or she turns out to be, we're going to deal with it. And we're going to have fun painting it. And that's the whole point of doing all of this. And so what I'm doing is I'm looking at this now. We've got a nice wet mixture on here. It's flowing real nice. We could actually push this paint around right now however we wanted to. But I want to look at it, and I'm doing a little comparison over here to see exactly where I want to darken this up. And I'm not going to use any blues or any purples or anything to darken my color up at the moment. I'm just going to use a little bit more of our color base. In this case, it's whatever our red color is over here. It looks like a quinacridone rose to me. I'm just going to drop some of that on. Maybe I'll mix in some orange with it. There we go. I don't want it to get too dark. I want to have a nice mix of colors in here, so when you look at it, when your eye sees it, it goes, wow, that's like a color burst of colors right there. That looks great. And that's exactly what your eye is gonna say to you when it sees this. There we go. I'm just fiddling and feddling with it. I can actually stop right there. I'm gonna do one other thing before I stop right there, though. I'm gonna put a little color in our top of our leg. There we go. We'll come back and change that in a second. All right, so we've got half the bird done already. Well, minus the legs, but half the bird done already, and we haven't done much of anything. Now, I'm going to come back with a little bit more of my, what I'm going to call quinacridone red up here, or quinacridone rose, I think is more accurate. Going to get a nice mixture of that. I'm going to put some on this bird's back. I want it a little bit lighter than the colors underneath. And okay, you caught me. I didn't get this bird's back wet before I started to do this. And the reason for that is I want to be able to control this color just a little bit more, especially as I come down towards our feathers down here. I don't want that color to run too much. I want to maintain just that little bit of control over those. There we go. And now as my colors have touched here at the base of the neck, I'm going to let those two colors join and add a little bit more color to them. There we go, just about like that. If I have a little bit of color shining through, I can leave it there and it will be totally fine, or I can just tap it with my brush and it'll go away. No problems at all. Then I'm going to go back and get my little bit more orangey mix, and based upon my picture over here, and it's going to spread out, but I'm going to go in and kind of paint in where I think some of the bigger feathers would be. There we go. Now I know it really ran and got spread out there, but this is going to be darker than this over here when it all dries up, and it's going to look great. Now while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to mix up. I'm going to drop down. What did I pick up? I picked up a 0 pencil here. Whoa, let me go back just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to mix up a little bit of brown and a little bit of our red color. I'll get it from there. Because I look at the legs, and the legs over here aren't brown and they're not red, and they're kind of somewhere in between all of that. So I'm just going to take our color and drop it in there. Could get a little bigger brush. I wouldn't have to make quite so many strokes. I'm just going to do this, and right on this knee, I'm going to put a little extra red. I don't know why, but their knee joint is like, even on, well, over here too, it's got a little bit of a different color, but on this one it definitely has a different color than the rest of the leg. I'm going to put the back leg on, same as the front. That knee is just a big knobby ball right there. Come down, and now the webbing in the feet is a little bit lighter than the surrounding leg, so I'm just going to put some color in there. That hopefully is just not quite the same color. We're going to come back and change that. And if I look, I'm not quite dry up here, but I'm getting pretty close. So I kind of think of something else to do here. While we're doing that, I'm going to come back. I'm going to go back to my original brush. I think I had a 4. Is that one wet? Yeah, that one's wet. I was using a 4. I'm going to come back with my orange red mixture. Here we go. And I'm just going to try to lay in a few more, just little tick marks where I think these feathers are going to be. We got some big feathers that swoop over the top here. There we go, just like that. I really like that. And while I'm waiting for everything, I'm going to come back with maybe a little bit more orangey mix. I'm going to do the same thing up here. It's just not quite dry. If it were dry, you would just fix it a little bit. Just clean our brush ever so slightly, then get almost all of the water off of it. Put it back on the paint. I have a little sponge right over here. And I'm just getting my brush wet and tapping it on the sponge and giving it a roll, like 2 revolutions, and I'm calling that good. I've gotten enough water off of it at that point. There we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my 0 brush. I just noticed I don't have a black in here, so I'm going to make a dark color. I'm going to use my blue that's in here. I'm going to mix it with my brown. Hopefully that'll give me a nice dark color. I'm not sure which. There we go. This blue seems to be doing a little bit better. I'm going to come and I'm going to just give a little bit of color onto the end of this guy's beak here. There we go. And I'm trying to look to see how far up that wetness runs. There we go. I think that looks great. There's his beak. I'm going to switch brushes yet again. What do I have? I have a 2. And now I am going to make a little bit of a purplish color. More on the red side, less on the blue side. And I'm going to lay in down here just a few low lights. And I'll know where they're at because we put them in just a minute ago when we painted this. We left that little bit of, there we go. We left that little bit of that jagged edge there. You see, if I'd have used a blue to put that color in, that would have been so stark. It would have been hard to look at. We didn't do that. There we go. We're just using a purple, and it's mostly red, way more on the red side, way more gonna match the color that we're using there. I'm gonna use that just underneath this bird a little bit, just trying to add that little bit of darkness there. I think that's pretty good. I think I need to stop fiddling with it. I'm going to come back and hit our top here with some extra wing paint, extra feathers up there, but I'm going to go back to our legs. I'm going to put another layer of paint on our legs, but only on the parts that I think maybe are in shadow, which means only on one side of these legs, under the joint. And then I'm going to use that same color just to draw maybe a little bit of the bones, the in between the webbing in these feet, just very, very lightly. And I apologize, I'm doing this so lightly. I know it's hard to see. I don't even know if I zoomed in. Let's try this. Zoom in. Which one is in? Where are we? See, I don't even know. That's as far as I can zoom. And I don't know even if you can see how I've got the, just painting the webbing of the feet a little bit, which makes the bones in there, the tarsals in the webbing, come out a little bit. It makes it a little bit more 3D down there. There he goes. Zoom out to a normal level so we can all see now. I'm just going to continue that. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. I had another slight battery malfunction. It's making me a little upset. I'm going to try to get through this. I'm trying to remember where we were. Okay, so I don't know, but I can tell you where I want to be. I'm going to put on a few more feathers on the back of our Flamingo here, and a few here along the wing edge that I created. There we go, and out to the tail. And the picture doesn't show any, but I'm going to put a few up here on this guy's head, or this girl's head. Got a little bit more there than I wanted to. So I'm just going to wet that and blend that out and get rid of all of the stuff I don't want. I ended up with a slight line here. I don't know if my Prima paints will let me pull that back out. I'm going to try my hardest. Not quite. But now that we've gotten it wet, we can fix it with just a little extra dab of paint, and nobody will be the wiser. Now I've got an eye to put on this guy. I want to put the eye right about there. I know there's a white spot right there, and I'm not sure why there's a white spot right there. But if I put the eye there, it would have been too low. It would have been looked a little funny. We're going to try to cover that as best we can. It's just a little blemish, you know. Maybe he's got a pimple there or something. We'll just cover that up for him. Now, I didn't seem to leave quite enough white right up here. I'm going to try this. I don't know. This says Catalina Madison. I don't know anything about this Catalina Madison brush, but I'm going to just try to pull just a little tiny bit of color out of that beak. Red is tough because it stains a little bit, but with a little persistence, I bet we could get there. Okay, if we can't get there, we're not going to let it bother us. I think this guy, other than that pimple, I think this guy's turning out great. A little bit of feathering. Just all you have to do is just touch it, just ever so slightly. A little tiny line, and it'll look just like a little feather. There we go. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make his eye just that little bit bigger. Maybe that'll help draw away from that. And I'm going to draw with my micron marker. I know it's cheating just a little bit, but I can make that, the edge, everything else is black already. You don't notice that I just drew on that ever so slightly with that micron marker. And if you did, well, you just come back with your dark color, whatever your dark color is here that I'm mixing off screen again, just like that, and just put another coat on, And there you go, nobody knows. Perfect. Alright, so I don't know where I'm at in the video. I don't know what time is. The battery died on on this, but I'm going to try to put a little bit of background on this. I'm going to do my normal background, and you know what, we'll do a little bit different background. We're going to go blue down to green here. We're going to mix a couple of different kinds of blues. I'm going to make sure I get my paints. We can back up just a little bit for that. I'm going to make sure I get these paints nice and wet because we're going to use them. And let's see how we're going to do this. I'm going to start off right over here. Just get a nice bit of this paint on there. I should say this is also a great time, if you did happen to go outside the lines anywhere, to cover that up. If you don't tell anybody, nobody will know. Only you, maybe, that it wasn't exactly like you wanted it, but like I said, don't tell anybody, nobody will know. It'll be your own secret. I'm trying to mix my two blues in here, and if I'm honest with you, in this set, I don't know that there's a big difference between these two blues. I'm going to get down to here somewhere, and I'm going to start transitioning into this lighter green from my blues. Just about like that, and into some darker greens down here. What all greens do I have? Oh, that's right, I have the tropical set. These are some really crazy intense greens. But just make sure your paper is nice and wet, and you can pull these colors around just about anywhere you want to go with them. And mix all these colors. Let them flow and be free in this part of the painting. This is going to make this background so active on here. People are going to look at it and they're going to go, how the heck did you do that? And it's so simple as long as you keep it wet as you're working with it. There we go. Now before my edge dries up here, well, I still have a little bit of green. I'm going to come back with my blue. There we go. So I'm going to go with this one. Let's see. Well, that's a nice color. Let's get right around. Let's see if I can get around this guy here. There we go. Maybe I'll do it this way. There you go, that's not so bad. Just keep that edge wet as you go along that whole thing, like I said. I'm just going to paint mine out into kind of a square pattern here. And somewhere around this same line, I'm going to switch over to this greenish yellow. Just put that down underneath there. There you go, just like that. Between his legs. And then mix in these other greens. And don't mix them in a straight line if you can help it. Let them go at these crazy angles. Let's see, which green did I just use? I don't know, the greens are kind of close on here too. Mix them in at these crazy angles, and it won't your painting won't have quite such a linear look to it. But just be crazy, be bold, get in there. Don't be afraid. There we go. Just need to blend those together a little bit. And there's my flamingo. He's kind of standing in the middle of nothing. You know what? I'm going to give him a little ledge here. I am going to give him a little something vertical here. Vertical, no. A little something horizontal. That would be better for him to stand on. Vertical would be tough. We'll just make this a bit darker. Way dark up here in the front. Like that. In the introduction of a few lines here, I'm going to blend that a little bit. There we go. Introduction of a few horizontal lines in here. Really make it look like maybe now he's standing on something or something close or by anyways for him to stand on. Just like that. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. There is my flamingo. I use this one as a reference. You can find one on the internet. This is what I did with it. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time painting with you out here in the studio again after all this time. I missed being out here. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you tried it at home. Let me know how it goes. We'll see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.